Hello and welcome to this episode of Kennedy Saves the World. It's that time of year again. The heathens come out of their caves, they smell disgusting, they look even worse, and they get on planes to fly with you, the experienced and thoughtful traveler. Unfortunately, we have to have a little bit of a primer every once in a while so we can all refresh what we should and should not be doing on airplanes. I've always flown with my children. I've been a big believer that one of the greatest gifts you can give your kids is adventure and travel. And the younger you fly with them, the better they will be as travelers if you actually parent them and you acknowledge that there have to be boundaries, especially when you are on planes. From the time my daughters were babies, it's like, I did my very best. There are times where kids have tantrums. There are times where they have exploding diapers. There are times you cannot control them, so you have to do your very best with what you've got. My problem is not that kids are the variable. It's the parents who couldn't give a rip and who tune out when they get on planes. You are horrible people. If you let your kids run up and down the aisles of an airplane, you are a bad person and a bad parent. You probably should have rethought whether or not you procreated before you made that critical decision. Travel is exhausting, but guess what? When you get on a plane, it's all hands on deck. So you know what you should do before you get on a plane? I know they offer early boarding for a lot of people. So what you do is you send one parent with all of the bags and the stuff on the plane to get everything situated, because that's why you are given extra time to get on the plane. It's because whenever you fly with kids, you have more crap. It is the nature of the beast. And that all is forgiven in the crap department in terms of being prepared. So you send one parent on as the pack mule with the crap. You know what the other parent does? If you are logical people, if you are not traveling by yourself, which I have also done that, and that is also very taxing and trying, you run your kids throughout the airport as though it is the Olympic sprinting trials. You go ahead and you find long stretches of hallway and you tell them to run, play fetch, do whatever it takes to exhaust your kids before you get on planes. That is the jam. Do not give kids sugar before they board a plane. Give them sugar on the plane. That's also, and I know I've talked about this, but one of the best tricks you have as a parent is bribery. And you use it, you save bribery for planes. That's when, I don't care if it's a 15-hour flight, let them play video games, give them screen time for 15 hours if it means they sit there. And I don't care if you have to detox electronically for several days. I don't care if you load them up with lollipops and gummy bears if it gets them to sit still, because every hour you give them a gift. It can be a teeny tiny gift. It can be a wrapped eraser. It can be Boba Fett. It doesn't matter in a little bit of tissue paper, but it is the act of the surprise that comes out of mom's bag that oftentimes keeps kids better behaved. It is the number one pet peeve of travelers and flight attendants is kids who are undisciplined and are out of their minds. I had a child sitting behind me who was kicking my seat. I know what happens. They're tiny legs, but this child was also a chatterbox and was talking. It was a 5.5-hour flight. There's always room for Benadryl. Okay? If you're a good parent, there's always room for Benadryl. Never give your child Benadryl for the first time on a plane. I learned that one the hard way. I gave my 10-month-old baby Benadryl, just a teeny tiny bit, and it was like giving her methamphetamine. It was as though she had partied with Hunter Biden for 3 days straight, because she was standing up on her seat, screaming with joy, but screaming nonetheless, and she was impossible to corral. That was a very solid note that always do a practice run. But if your kid is a hyperactive chatterbox, figure it out. So the kid's kicking my seat. What do? I look back and I glare at the dad. And so my glare that's loud on a plane. I'm not a big believer in being loud and raising your voice and being vocal, because you are stuck in close proximity with these people for several hours. So you have to do the best you can with nonverbal communication. I looked back at the dad. The dad kind of gives me this look like, yeah, child has legs, child's going to kick. And then I look back and I let it go on for another 20 minutes. I look back and gave the child the death stare. She stopped for a little while. And then, you know what I did? I looked at my sexy teenage boyfriend, the tour manager, and I was like, kid's still kicking the seat. What should I do? And he said, well, your seat is not reclined. Recline it as fast and as hard as you possibly can. And I did. And you know what? It shocked the crap out of the small child. She stopped kicking my seat. I should not have to do that. I'm a patient person.
Don't go anywhere. More Kennedy Saves the World right after this.
So whenever people ask me, what would you like to do if you had all the money in the world and you could do a job that was satisfying and fun? I honestly would be a preschool teacher. I love kids between like 2 and 5 years old. It is such a magical, wonderful age. I don't want to be a preschool teacher on a plane. I don't want to have to parent your child. It is not an enrichment session from me to you. That is your time to parent. That is your ultimate time to parent. That is when you do the heaviest lifting, the absolute parenting, and not prove, demonstratively what a great parent you are. You know how I know you're a great parent? Because I can't hear you and I can't hear your child. That is possible. It is achievable. And you have to do everything in your power to make that happen. This is not your time to tune out. If you are choosing to travel and give your child the gift of adventure, the adventure does not begin on the airplane. The airplane is the time to figure out how to be a reasonable and respectful person and not a freaky deaky little overindulged entitled urchin. And stop going to the bathroom with socks on. Put your shoes on. I happen to be in a relationship with someone who believes that you should never take your shoes off on a plane. I don't abide by that, but I would never ever in a million years go into a disgusting piss-soaked airplane bathroom with socks on. You're asking for an illness, and I don't want to be on the hook for that. That's why that is the greatest argument against socialized medicine is people who invite microbes onto and into their body by making bad decisions on airplanes, particularly with bare feet or socks. You are gross. I am judging you. I am absolutely judging you. If you go into a bathroom and you have socks on an airplane, you are going to get infected. You are going to step on other people's things. The other one, if you have long hair, that's great. I'm so happy for you that you have a horsetail on top of your head. Don't put it in front of someone else's screen. There was a guy in front of me who had his little hands on my seat. That I can draw little figures on your fingers if you put your hands in my seat. For the most part, 98% of the time, I will be accommodating and respectful in every way. If I'm sitting in an aisle seat or in a window seat and you're in the middle, you can have the armrest. The person in the middle gets both of the armrests. That's the other rule. Don't mansplain the armrests. If you've got a window or an aisle, you get one. Your aisle mate gets one, and the person in the middle gets two. It is the slightest bit of hope they have in a very dark journey, because when you're traveling by yourself in the middle, you are sandwiched usually in between two fart bags, and that is never fun. And the one sweet indulgence you have is knowing you can rest your weary elbows. There are so many travel rules. There are things that drive us all crazy. And it's the golden rule of travel. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Would you like other people to walk through piss? Nope. Then don't do it. Would you like other people's kids kicking your seat? Nope. Then don't let your kid kick someone else's seat. So whatever you are capable of in terms of comportment, you should be able to expect the same from other people. There are rules. There are boundaries. Be a good person. Do not cross them. Be an excellent traveler and make your day and someone else's by being absolutely amazing in the sky. I know you can do it, even though there are people who try and prove us all wrong. We can do better, humans. I'm glad I have saved you from making someone else's travel nightmare interminable. This has been Kennedy Saves the World. I'm Kennedy.
Listen ad-free with a Fox News Podcast Plus subscription on Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Prime members can listen to this show ad-free on the Amazon Music app.
Oh, go ahead and leave me a review while you're there. I'd love to hear what you have to say. You've been listening to Kennedy Saves the World on the Fox News Podcast Network.